if you're still with us out all over the world in internet land, we're going to start again. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our third trip to the Bottle Cap Barn here in beautiful, out in the country of Edmond, Oklahoma. Edmond is just north of Oklahoma City, right? And Ben and Alicia have this place, and it's just a wonderful place. I wish I could take that camera and take you all over. They're wonderful. They have got peacocks and petrified wood.
That's me. Yeah, that's Ben.
And I love that petrified wood. I need to get some more of that from you. I have that petrified wood on my fireplace. So come in and gather around me, children. Story I will tell. Come gather round me, children. The story I will tell about pretty boy Floyd the outlaw, Oklahoma. Him well. It was in the town of Shawnee on a Saturday afternoon. His wife beside him in a wagon, as into town they rode. Deputy sheriff, in a manner rather rude, using vulgar words of language. His wife, she overheard. So pretty boy grabbed a log chain, and the deputy grabbed a gun, and in the fight that followed, he lay that deputy down. he took to the trees and bushes, and he lived a life of shame, and every crime in Oklahoma was added to his name. Yes, he took to the trees and bushes on the Canadian River shore, where many a starving farmer they opened up his door. And I'll tell you of a story about a stranger that come to beg a meal, and underneath his napkin he left $1,000 bill. In Oklahoma City. It was on Christmas Day, with a whole carload of groceries, with a message that did say, now you say that I'm an outlaw, say that I'm a thief. Well, here is Christmas dinner for the families on relief. Oh, through this life you'll wonder, through this life you'll roam, but you never find an outlaw. At least like Pretty Boy Floyd, to drive a family from his home. Yeah, through this life you'll wander, and you'll meet some funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, and some with a fountain pen. Yeah, gather round me, children, and a story I would tell about Pretty Boy Floyd the Outlaw, Oklahoma. Welcome back. Thank you. because that's actually how, you know, Beatles, I Feel Fine. John Lennon just kind of leaves his guitar on the amp and start doing that. And I go, ooh, let's use it. The love that you give is love. The love that you give is love. You never lose. It comes back to you in dreams that come true. On a dream with you, life is simple and moving slow, like holding hands to the radio. And there's no other place we wanna go. I wanna dream with you. We're in love and holding tight. Now there is nothing we need sacrifice. After all these lonesome nights, I wanna dream with you. In a villa in New Mexico, wearing your boots with your evening clothes, and the band is playing so good. I'll dream with you, baby. Sunset comes and we fade away in the refuge between night and day. I'll dream with you. Wanna dream with you. All you have to do is touch my hand to rescue me from these shifting sands. And there's nobody else that understands me. I wanna dream with you. Indian ponies and western skies, wildflowers and coyote cries are all in the magic of your brown eyes. I wanna dream with you. You're a cowboy in a rodeo, riding bareback, chasing down rainbows. And I'm the cowboy that you wanna know, baby. I wanna dream with you. Sunset comes and we fade away in the refuge between night and day. I'll dream with you. Yes, the love that you give is love. You never lose. It comes back to you in dreams that come true. I'll dream with you. I'll dream with you. Thank you very much. That's one of my songs, and Bill Hearn just cut it on his new record from Bill and Bonnie Hearn. I'm really excited and proud about that. And also Walt Wilkins just cut it, I found.
Yeah.
Walt Wilkins, you know him? You should have him here. Oh, boy. See, he'll be great. And he'll play that song. Well, you know, and what happened was this. Sitting Bull defeated the United States Cavalry. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He was the shaman. He was the medicine man. And shortly after that battle, he went into show business. and he joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West. They toured all over the country, all over the world, you know, reenacting that battle and other battles. And I don't know if you've ever seen those old newsreels of Buffalo Bill's Wild West, but they had Zulu warriors and Maasai tribesmen and mounted riders from, you know, everywhere. Hussins and Cossacks and Vaqueros, Native American cowboys and Indians out to kazoo. Somebody said out to kazoo today. I say out to kazoo. And trick ropers, snake charmers, Wild Bill Hickok, Annie Oakley, Willie. They had it all. And nobody was more famous than Buffalo Bill in the 19th century. Only 3 people, the top 3 people that was written, more words were written about. You had George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Buffalo Bill Cody. And at that time, he was the most famous man in the world. Well, everybody needs a song, don't they? And Buffalo Bill's no different. He needed a song. I'm going to kind of point this way, since most of you people are out there. I'll point this way. And how you doing out there? Let's make the racket so the people all over the world are here. That's better, so they know people are here. So, one day, Buffalo Bill was walking down the boardwalk in Cody, Wyoming, and this space-time continuum just sort of opened up at his feet, Bradley.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean
and he just opened up, and he looked into and what he saw was the dust bin of history, the dust heap of history. And he saw this piece of music floating there. And he said, I'm going to take advantage of my chance. He grabbed it, reached right down, pulled it up. He couldn't read it, a bunch of hand scratching, but he took it to his band leader. His band leader played it. And it was a rousing song, and it had kind of patriotic, and it sounded good. And he said, yeah, let's use that for a while. Well, they used it, and they played it all over the country, and it became his song. Other bands started singing it. People started singing it and learning it, and it went into the American lexicon, as they say. It became our national anthem. It was a Star-Spangled Banner. And Buffalo Bill really did rescue it from the Revolutionary, not the Revolutionary War, but the War of 1812 is when that came up. So, they decided to go to England. And Queen Victoria was no different. Where's that British guy? He's here, all right. Here's a little history. We got a British guy. What's your name, sir? Paul. So, Paul, this is what happened. Queen Victoria was no different than anyone else. She wanted to get next to Buffalo Bill in the worst way. Maybe the best way. You never know. So she had a command performance. She tried to. She tried to have this command. She said, you're going to go beg for me. But he said, Queen, it's just too big for you. You're going to have to come to me. So Queen Victoria came with her royal entourage, and when this multicultural extravaganza passed in front of the royal box, Queen Victoria stood up and saluted the American flag, the first time in history a British monarch had ever done it. True story. And that's because of music and entertainment, just like we're doing here today. And so here's the only time, here I'm asking for your suspension of disbelief right now, for the first time. Because in the box with her was Mahatma Gandhi, himself. And there's a possibility, in 1893, Gandhi was going to law school in England. So there's a possibility, you know, it happened. And this was in 1893 that this whole thing went down. And Queen Victoria decided, what would it be like if these two Indians came over to my place? The Indian of the West, Sitting Bull, who sometimes resorted to violence when his back was to the wall, and the Indian of the East, Gandhiji, who turned the other cheek defeated the entire British Empire, Paul. Well, now Mahatma Gandhi and Sitting Bull were lying in the sun around the swimming pool, talking about breaking all the rules. And listen to the radio, KOMA. The Mahatma winked and they flashed a grin. He said the Wild East is where I've been. If you've seen it once, you gotta see it again. You gotta see the Himalayan snow. Sitting Bull, he said, Gandhi G, it's the Great Plains for me. Chasing buffalo and living free, and watching all my children grow. Well, Gandhi pulled his weaver's thread and he spun some yarns. Then he said, no need for the Tibetan Book of the Dead to know which way the spirit goes. You know the way the spirit goes. Which just happened to be standing on the street corner when it all came by. And here's the moral of the story. West is east and east is west. We're only one planet and that's the test. We're just passing through, we got no address. Awakening what we don't know. Every day. Yeah, Sitting Bull and Gandhi too. They share a pipe with me and you. They both knew how to break the rules and listen to the river flow. They listen to the river flow. So in 1972, so you gotta, we'll just kind of continue on with the narrative. I really did. I had a chance to play with both Jerry Jeff and Michael Murphy, and there were these two albums that each of them made in 1972, 1973. The first one was Geronimo's Cadillac, and we did that. And then the second one that we got to play on was Jerry Jeff's, just called Jerry Jeff, the Brown album. Then we go to make an album in Nashville with Murphy. It's called Cosmic Cowboy Souvenir. You know what I'm talking about? I just want to be a cosmic cowboy. I just want to ride and rope and hoot. Oh, I just want to be a cosmic cowboy. A supernatural country rockin' galoot. That's how it went. And of course, when we heard the words galoot, we just kind of freaked out. We said, you can't put that in a song, word galoot like that. And so the band broke up. The band broke up. We left, and we all went back to Texas. Everybody went back to Texas. Everybody but Gary P. Nunn. No. Gary stuck it out. Why? That's the question. Why did he stick it out? Because he had a song on this record called The Song of the South Canadian River. Gary used to live in Hannah, Oklahoma, and the South Canadian flowed right by him. We used to come out there when we were in the middle of tours. We'd go hang out at Gary's farm and ride horses. First and only time, probably last time I ever rode a horse was Gary Nunn's horses. We'd ride horses on the South Canadian, and Gary and Murphy wrote this song. It's a beautiful song called The Song of the South Canadian, really orchestrated and everything, and just wonderful changes. And so Gary had this song, and it was on a nationally released record, and he felt, if I leave, Murphy may take it off. I got to protect my intellectual property. So he stayed. We all left to join back up with Jerry Jeff for good. And Jerry Jeff, meanwhile, is planning this weird project down in this little town called Lukenbach, Texas. And he has an idea to record an album in the dance hall down there. And he's looking for a world-class mobile recording unit to install down in Lukenbach. So all that's going on. We come back. Gary goes to England with Murphy to mix the album at Abbey Road Studios. Now, you got to admit, that's pretty cool. You got to admit. Paul's into it. Where's John and Ringo, Paul? And so they make the album, they mix it, that's fun, but then it's the worst winter in 20 years in Europe. And Gary is left alone to wander around the streets by himself while Murphy's off with his in-laws. And Gary's staying in a flat that's owned by a bunch of Oxford frat rats and the landlords had turned, in those days, Paul, you're too young to remember this, but in those days, they turned the steam heaters off in all those apartment blocks from 6 a.m. to 6 in the evening to get people out on the street, save energy, get them out working. You don't need to be home. Get out. So they're all out, but Gary, you know, he doesn't have a job. He's just hanging out until Murphy's ready to go back home. And so one morning, he's shivering. He pulls his little bomber jacket over his shoulder, and he sees his guitar, and he picks it up. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, "It's cold over here, and I swear I wish they'd turn the heat on." And who would think from such a dismal beginning out there in Hiroshima, who would think that from a dismal beginning would spring forth one of the quintessential Texas anthems of all time, the London Homesick Blues? Well, Gary comes home, he's so disillusioned, he's so pissed, and he's decided to quit the music business. He did. He decided to quit the music business. He was going to go back to Texas Tech, where he had been a pharmacy major. Gary Nunn was a pharmacy major before he became a rock and roll star. Well, I always thought, what would it have been like if Gary Nunn had been my pharmacist? I can just see myself, you know, coming in, Dr. Nunn, I've got this prescription here. I know I was just in here yesterday, but can you help me out? Luckily, nothing like that happened. Nothing. And we lassoed Gary, and we took him down to Lukenbach, where he played that song one day under the tree and thought it was a great song. Well, on the Saturday night of the recording session, we had a live show in the dance hall. And at some point, Jerry Jeff suddenly looks at Gary and says, "Play that song about London you did the other day." And the band had never, we'd only heard it once. The band had never rehearsed it, only heard it once. So Gary started playing it and got to the chorus, "Home with the armadillos," home with that, and people start singing along, and the band starts. By that time, we're starting to figure out the chords, and the second verse comes along, and the second chorus, and people are singing it all, and the third verse, and the lead comes, and we just kind of working it up on the spot, and it's just kind of going down. It's like it's going down, and at the end, we sing the chorus over and over and over again. People are screaming and yelling, pouring beer on their heads, rolling around the aisles because they just can't believe the song, and it's just this ethereal moment. And at the end of the song, people go crazy. And Gary is just, he's stunned, and he's so, you know, they love his song. It's the first time anything like this happened to him. And he's got this big smile on his face, you know, kind of like Ray Charles, you know. And he just, you know, he's just smiling. And suddenly the producer of this event comes running out from this mobile recording unit. He goes, "That was incredible. That was fantastic. But the tape broke. You're going to have to do it again." And so that is when Gary Nunn says, "Go get your Viva Terlingua albums out tonight." And you'll hear him say, I gotta put myself back in that place. Well, when you're down on your luck, you ain't got a buck. In London, you're the goner. Even London Bridge is falling down, and moved to Arizona. Now I know why. And I'll substantiate the rumor that the English sense of humor is drier than the Texas sand. And you can put up your dukes and you can bet your boots, but I believe it just as fast as I can. I wanna go home with the armadillo. Good country music from Amarillo and Abilene. They got the friendliest people and the prettiest women you ever seen.
Well, it's cold over here, and I swear I wish they'd turn the heat on. And where in the world is that English girl I promised that I would meet on the 3rd floor?
Come on up and help us sing it, Alicia. Come on, help us sing it.
Of the whole damn lot, the only friend I got is a smoke and a cheap guitar. My mind keeps roaming, my heart keeps longing to be home in a Texas bar.
And I wanna go home with the armadillo. Good country music from Amarillo and Abilene. They got the friendliest people and the prettiest women you ever seen. I decided that I'll get my cowboy hat and I will wander down to Marble Arch Station. Cause when a Texan fancies to take his chances, chances will be taken, that's for sure. He's taking a chance, he's taking a chance, he's looking for the queen, he's looking for Kate. He's hanging out in the Marble Arch. He's staying alive. He's staying alive. I said, he's staying alive. I said, he's staying alive. And when the Miami yachts, they were eyeing the prize. Some people call manly footwear. They said you're from down south, and when you open your mouth, you always seem to stick your bloody foot right in it. And I wanna go home with the armadillo. Good country music from Amarillo and Abilene. They got the friendliest people and the prettiest women you ever seen. All right, it's your turn to sing now. Country music. What do they got? They got the prettiest people and the prettiest women. Yeah, and I wanna go home with the armadillo. Good country music from Amarillo and Abilene. Did I tell you my album won album of the year? Did I tell you that?
No, I don't think you told
All
me
right.
that.
Well, it did, and one of the reasons is because of this song. It's called Country Western Swing, and it's real popular over in places like Germany and the Netherlands, because I don't know if you've ever been to Germany, but they have these country clubs. If you're in Germany tonight, listen, out there in Germany, they have these country clubs, and all the guys wear furry chaps and Tom Mix hats, and all the girls wear these square dance outfits, because if you don't play strict country music, they're liable to shoot you, and I'm not kidding. And so we're going to do a song for them, and I found out just before during the break, I was back there while Bradley was networking, I was doing business, and I got a text, Bradley.
Really?
In Amsterdam tonight, this song, Country Western Swing, is number 5 on their playlist on radio station WTF. So, all right, ready? Let's swing now. Oh, yeah. Does anybody here know how to country western swing? Or do you really want to just sit around and shake your thing? Well, those of you who do, get with those of you who don't. And before this night is over, you'll all know how to dance. Cause honky tonk can make my world go round. Like a big roller rink in the sky down here on the ground. And I ain't saying that I am any smarter. No, I can't seem to find me a partner. I'm looking high for a two-stepping lady. I'm feeling low, 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 cause I can't find one. All my old girlfriends want rock and roll. Looking like I'm high, but I'm feeling low. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I feel the thrill as it starts to work. Ain't nothing in the world like sweat through a Baylon shirt. And I am so down, I can't get up. And I ain't having any luck. I'm looking high for a two-stepping lady. I'm feeling low, 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 cause I can't find one. All my old girlfriends want rock and roll. Look like I'm high, but I'm feeling low. Beat right here is called the country and western swing. And I hope it's really moving you to take that fling. Cause I'm ready to spin and I am ready to twirl. The only thing left in the world is a willing girl. Cause honky tonk can make my world go round. Like a big roller rink in the sky down here on the ground. And I am so down, I can't get up. Looking high for two-stepping lady. I'm feeling low, 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 cause I can't find one. All my old girlfriends want rock and roll. Look like I'm high. I'm looking high. I'm looking high for a two-stepping lady. I'm feeling low, 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 cause I can't find one. All my old girlfriends want rock and roll. Look like I'm high. What did you say? But he's feeling low. have him do a song.
Well, I'm a rolling stone, all alone and lost. For a life of sin, I paid the cost. When I walk by, all the people say he's just another guy on the lost highway. You're just a deck of cards and a jug of wine and a woman's life. Make a life like mine. Oh, the day we met, I went astray. I started rolling down that lost highway. Play it, Bob. Just a lad, compared to 22, or neither good nor bad, or just a kid like you. But now I'm alone, no time to pray. I started rolling down that lost highway. Boys, don't start. You're rambling around on a road of sin. You're sorrow bound. You take my advice. You cursed the day you started rolling down that lost highway. 'Cause I'm a rolling stone, all alone and lost. For a life of sin, I pay the cost. When I walk by, all the people say you're just another guy on the lost highway. I'm just another guy on the lost highway. It's a true story.
That's true. I don't know if I was meant to it, Brad.
Well, I can't help it. I gotta tell the truth.
That's a Hank Williams song, right?
No, sir.
That's a Hank Williams song.
Well, Hank, he recorded it,
Oh,
but Leon Payne wrote.
Leon Payne.
Oh, Leon.
Oh, Leon. What else did he write?
I don't know. We can look it up on our smartphone.
Why don't somebody do that? Leon Payne, the writer of, you know, now that you're all equipped with Google everywhere you go. Well, so 1972, go back and you understand Three Faces West still living there, right? In Red River, New Mexico. They wore leather pants and leather vests.
Mm-hmm.
They were the coolest thing. They played every summer there. Leather pants, leather vests, wild rags. That's what they call it. Wild rags around their necks. And these fry-toed boots. You remember fry-toed boots?
Oh, yeah.
Fry-toed boots. They wore those boots. They were cool, rakishly long hair. So one night when I came to visit them, they had a party for me. And there was this girl that lived at the top of the pass, and her name was Hurricane Annie. That was her name. And she had a party for us. And at about 1:45 a.m. of the 5th day, we ran out of beer.
Oh, man.
We sent Ray down to the bar to get the beer. The bar was called the D Bar. And Ray walks in, buys a case of beer. Everything is cool. He's just about home free out the door when this woman from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have anybody from Tulsa here?
Sorta.
Good, good. Because this is about this woman from Tulsa, Oklahoma got in Ray Hubbard's face. And she took issue with the way he looked. And frankly, I think the way he smelled. Because, you know, he's wearing them leather pants, leather vests, summer in, summer out.
Oh, man.
You can't wash those things. So he's probably pretty rank. So she gets in his face and says something like, "You're so scruffy and smelly. And them leather pants and leather vests, and that long stringy hair and that weird looking patchy beard. Them weird squared off shoes and that wild looking rag around your neck. You just don't look like a real American. You don't look like any American I've ever seen. You must be an alien. Or at least a Democrat. One of the two." That was fighting words, you know. So Ray, he kept in composure for a while. He could have taken her one-on-one. If it come to it, he could have got a boot in there somewhere and taken her down. But her son comes up, blindsides Ray, knocks him down on the barroom floor just that fast. And Hubbard got up, dusts himself off, and to his credit, he came back to the party with the beer. We were always impressed. And when he walked in, he said, "You're never going to believe what happened to you." "What took you so long?" "You're never going to believe what happened to me." "Well, how come you got a bloody nose?" "You're never going to believe what happened to me." "Give me that guitar." And this is what he said. This is what he said. "He was born in Oklahoma." Come on up and help us sing it, Joe. "And his wife's name is old Betty Lou Thelma Liz." Come on, help us sing it, Joe. "He's not responsible for what he been doing, 'cause his mother made him." I said his mother made him. His mama made him. What he is. He said it. "And it's up against the wall, redneck mother. Mother who has raised your son so well. He's 34 and drinking in a honky-tonk. What's he doing? He's just kicking hippies' asses and raising hell."
Well, it sure does like his pearl beer.
Pearl beer.
He likes to chase it down with some rock cut whiskey, you know, like Wild Turkey or some shit like that. He drives a 1997 GMC pickup truck with a gun rack and a bumper sticker on the back that says, what does that bumper sticker say, Bob?
It says, "Of course I'm drunk. What do you think I am, a stunt driver?"
But there's another one.
Well, there's another one that's really my favorite. "I'm still pissed at Yoko."
Yeah?
Does anybody have another one? You have a bumper sticker you'd like to share, Joe?
Obama.
No, now.
Yeah, there you go. All right. How about goat ropers need love too? That's really the one that we all know. "And it's up against the wall, redneck mother." Everybody sing it. "Mother who has raised her son so well, so well. He's 34, drinking in a honky-tonk. What's he doing? Kicking hippies' asses and raising hell." Now Bradley gonna play it. Hey. This is the part of the program where the entire audience hums because we're going to spell it. Now M is for the mud flaps you give me to put on my pickup truck. And O is for the oil I find on my hair and in flames in the Persian Gulf at this very minute crop. T is for tired, which we are.
Oh, yeah.
H is for haggard, which we obviously are not. Tired,
No,
haggard, get it. E is for everything gonna be alright. And R, of course, is for redneck. Not very good, folks. And you don't say mother, you just say redneck. And R, of course, is for redneck. That's actually not bad. Somebody, there was an S. I heard it. It was redneck. It's not plural. Just one, unless you're a two-headed dog, you only have one redneck. Isn't it true?
That's right.
That's what Rocky Erickson said.
That's right.
So, come on. Let's do it. And let's let them hear. Do you have nice neighbors? I mean, you know, we want to let them hear. Let them know what we are. Let's raise the roof with this redneck. And R is for redneck. And it's up against the wall, redneck mother. Mother who has raised your son so well, so well, so well. He's 34, drinking in a honky tonk. What you doing? You're just kicking hippies' asses and raising hell one more time. And it's up against the wall, redneck mother. Mother who has raised your son so well. 34, you're drinking in a honky tonk. What you doing? Kicking hippies' asses and raising hell. Where'd you live? He's having the time of his life at the bottle cap barn in Edmond, Oklahoma. USA. Well, we got one more song for you, and then I think there is going to be a jam session, right? People are going to get up and sing songs about the band and stuff like that. I heard y'all practicing today. There was a song. What was that song y'all were doing by the band? The Wait? Y'all know The Wait? Y'all know The Wait?
Not very well. That's why we were practicing.
Let's try.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody knows any lyrics. I pulled in the Nazareth. I was feeling about a 10:30. I'm looking for a place where I could lay my head. I said, mister, won't you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned, shook my hand, no was all he said. Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on. Crazy Chester followed me, and he caught me in the fall. He said, you can fix my ride, you take Jack my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, I'm a peaceful man. Go and hang your mouth and speed it with you can. Take a load off Fanny. Come on up, help me sing. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me. Go down disposes. There's nothing you can say. It's just old Luke and Luke been waiting on the judgment day. I said, Luke, my friend, but what about young Anna Lee? He said, I can go, but Anna Lee will keep you company. Take a load off Fanny, help me sing it. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on me. Let's all sing it. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on me. That's pretty good, but not good enough. Try one more time. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. You put the load right on me. I thought you guys were going to come out to people that actually need us. All right. We got one more song for you. I was talking to Ben earlier. He said, yeah, that's right. We don't look at that. There's some more tips in the tip jar. We don't like to call attention to the tip jar.
No, we don't.
No, you don't.
But especially last night, Bradley. Was that not weird?
Oh, it was terrible.
Listen to this. This is you like the stories. This is sad. This is a sad one. Actually, it's not so sad. But we were playing at this place in Dallas last night, and they had this. I mean, all you do is play for tips. You're supposed to make a whole lot of money, and they have this blue porcelain tip jar.
Oh, it was pretty. It was so beautiful.
It was like this big, beautiful. It was probably an antique, and they had written in old English letters in white on this tips, right? Awesome. Well, this dyslexic walked in the room and spit in it. This dyslexic walked in the room and spit in it. But Bradley, don't worry, I've got the money. I got to launder it, but
Yeah.
So that's why we don't really call attention to the tip jars. But we were talking to Ben earlier, and he said in 1953, Bob Wills and his West Texas Playboys came here to the Bottle Cap Bar and played some of the wildest. Why don't you tell me that, Ben?
Right here. In 53.
Right here on this very stage.
What year?
1953. That was when the beat was young.
Wow. Are you?
What'd you say further back? All right, you're right. 1927, Lucius Allen, his Cosmic Pharaohs came back to Edmond, Oklahoma, played some of they played pharaohic music at the Bottle Cap Barn, and there was no internet at that point.
Go way back. Right, yeah. Way back.
Way back?
Yeah.
What, 150 years? All right, let's go. Just cut 250 years ago. 250. Do I have 300? Anybody 300? We got 300 years ago when the beat was young. Right now, 300. How about 500? Anybody? We got 500. 500. We got 750. 750. Anybody? 750. 1,000. How about? That's 10,000. That's the spirit. 10,000 years ago. Soul American. Don't touch your nose in front of me, ma'am. That's 10 million years ago. Back when the beat was young. Let's just go ahead and cut to the chase, Bradley. Let's go back to the Big Bang, 14,978,000,000 years ago, when the beat was young. And in a nanosecond, you know what it is? Nanosecond? Like a billionth of a second. In a nanosecond, worlds were thrown like so many Jackson Pollock paintings on the fabric of time and space. And one world rose to the surface, the blue pearl, Mother Earth. And next thing you know, there were volcanoes going off. There was thunder and lightning crashing. God, it's chaos, you know. A little time passed. And here come a saber-toothed tiger, followed by a pterodactyl. And a guy chasing him down and looked like a Cro-Magnon man. And later that night, around the campfire, that Cro-Magnon dude was holding up high over his head a pterodactyl beak dripping with blood. And he knew he was going to be bringing it home for his baby. And she's going to like it. She's going to really like it. And so, guess what? He was crowing. He was crowing. And there was ancient man beating on sticks and rocks. Sending out a rhythm in around the clock. He takes over, bust and loose. Trying to hold back just wasn't no use. All the cats around feeling they got stung. Way back in history when the beat was young. Big Chief says to sing and dance. Smoke peace pipe and make romance. Beat takes over, fangs get to jumping, snatching something from the jaws of nothing, whatever that means. They were kicking evolution up another run. Way back in history when the beat was young. And when the beat is young, you have everything under the sun. When the beat is young, well, all come together as one. When the beat is young. Yeah. Get down. So a little time passed and it got to the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages. And brothers and sisters, if you had anything at all to do with the beat in the Dark Ages, they likely as not put you on a rack and pull your fingernails out, you know? Because the beat made your toes tap, made your body move uncontrollably. You lose control. And more than anything else, it made girls want to dance. It made girls want to dance in the Catholic Church. It didn't like it at all. Not at all. So they needed to save all these beat heathens. So they built these churches. Rooms kind of like this. Really tall, high ceilings, stained glass windows, bathed in ethereal light. You couldn't even see the ceiling. There was so much incense going off, and there were flying buttresses everywhere. Here goes one now. And these guys, I'm telling you, they needed some music too. So they had these dudes up on the stage, and they were wearing these long, gray, brown sackcloth robes. And they had long, gray, brown, black beards with shiny bald heads. Every one of them had shiny bald heads. By the way, if you ever want to stop sneezing, or if you ever want to, it's really the hiccups. If you ever really want to stop the hiccups, you think of 7 bald men, and it will work every time. Come back, write me, join my Facebook, and tell me that it worked. But these guys were up on stage and they were singing, and they sounded like this. Hey, listen, nobody knew what it meant, you know, it was in Latin, but taken together, it was pretty effective. But a little peasant in medieval England or France, Switzerland, Austria, he didn't just live right across the street from the cathedral. No. He may live 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 100, 150, 250 miles away. He may have to pack for months to go to church. He was a beat heathen. And he needed to go on this pilgrimage. He might have to take his whole family with him. He may have a different family when he came back. So he marched all day and he marched all night. Marched all day and he marched all night. He marched all day and he marched all night. Marched all day and he marched all night. And he fell into the tavern that was conveniently located in front of the double doors of the cathedral. And he drank mead. Has anybody ever had any mead? You know what it is? It's fermented honey. It's nasty, nasty stuff, but it gets you there, you know. And then they would go in the cathedral, and all the equal parts taken together, it was designed for enlightenment. They were saved on the spot. And the Catholic Church said it was good. But they wanted to take it over the top. They wanted someone to write about it. And maybe in 100 years from now, or 200, or 500, or 1,000, or even 10,000, 25,000 years from then, people would know what happened. So they needed a chronicler. They went to Cambridge, England, down to the red light district, where all the poets and musicians, poor as church mice, hung out. And they found this one poet who was also a rap artist. His name was Geoffrey Chaucer. And they asked him if he would go on one more pilgrimage to the most beautiful cathedral of all, Canterbury Cathedral. He said, why not? So he marched all day and he marched all night. Marched all day and he marched all night. He marched all day and he marched all night. He fell into the tavern with everyone else, and he drank mead until he was silly. And he wrote down everything that he saw and he heard. And this, brothers and sisters, is what Buddy Holly revealed to me all those years ago in Miss Honey's English class. And I'm going to attempt to be the first guy at the Bottle Cap Barn. Ben, when was it ever done before? When? Never been done before. Maybe in Oklahoma. I'm going to attempt to be the first guy to do a little Middle English rap for you right here and now. And if you had a Miss Honey in your life, like I did, please sing along with me. This is the prologue to the Canterbury Tales in Middle English. You can kind of catch it every once in a while. Are you ready? Here we go. go. One that pretty with the shirt of soap and the truth of March has pierced to the other. Other that the vein and swishly cool, of which virtue engendered is a flow, and sniffer a seca with the sweat of breath. Spirit half and every hook to head. Between the croppers of the youngest son, half in the rammy cozy run. Smiley follows, smile melody that's sleeping up a date with open ear. So, break it to the children, hill rises that long gun folk are gonna pilgrimizes and promise for the sake is strongest and Sondre Kuth and Sondre Londe. Sondre Kuth and Sondre Londe. Yo. That's it. The next season of the day, the Luther Cabinet as they lay, ready to win and on the pilgrimage toward Canterbury with Tony Becker as a spider gentle. Australia was the best hotel I ever see. Was the best hotel I ever seen. Now the beat is spread all around the world. I'm taking a chance. And it beats in the hearts of every boy and girl. Kicking around the beat can be really fun. Kick it out. And the beat can make you work when there's work to be done. Even today when certain songs are sung, Lord, thank God Almighty that the beat is young. Beat is young. And when the beat is young, you have everything under the sun. When the beat is young, we'll all come together as one. We come together as one at the Bottle Cap Bar, and I want to thank Ben and Alicia, Joe, and everybody that made it all happen. Thank you so much for coming. Music makes us all one. Out here in this beautiful Oklahoma hills, way down yonder in Indian Nation, I ride my pony on a reservation in those Oklahoma hills where I was born. When the beat is young, the beat is young, the beat is young, the beat is young. Kopp. Thank you so much. Bob Livingston. Thank you.
Yeah. One more, Bob. One more.
All right, we'll do one more. We're easy. We're going to close out tonight with some Woody Guthrie, Oklahoma's favorite son. I don't know if you've ever been to Woody Fest down there every July 14th. It's a free concert, free festival. They don't put in musicians and they don't charge to get in, and everybody in the country wants to go. Yeah, Woody, he tried to raise the common man from this commonness, so to speak. Many years have come and gone since I wandered from my home in those Oklahoma hills where I was born. Though a page of life has turned, there's a lesson to be learned. And I feel back in those hills, I still belong. Come on, help us sing. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, ride my pony on a reservation in Oklahoma hills where I was born. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, a cowboy's life is my occupation in Oklahoma hills where I was born.
Miles I am away from that place I rode my pony.
on the hills where I was born. Oh, Bradley Kopp, one more. Yeah, Woody Guthrie. He's one of our greatest Americans, not just in Okie. We claim him in Texas too. Actually, the whole world claims Woody Guthrie. I got to meet. I was sitting in a diner after the Woody Fest, and these two elderly women walked up to me, dressed up like they were going to church. And one of them said, "We have been watching you." I had my guitar with me so it wouldn't burn up outside. It was so hot. And I said, "You've been watching me?" She went, "Yes, we think you must be somebody famous." I said, "I don't think so, ma'am. I don't think so." And she went, "Oh, yes, you are. You probably." I said, "I'm just here for this Woody Fest. I'm singing Woody Guthrie songs." She goes, "Well, my name is Marjorie Guthrie, and I'm Woody's sister." I said, "That's fantastic. I can't believe your brother, your songs will be singing in 1,000 years. They'll be singing." He goes, "That's because you're so great." I said, "I'm great. What a woman, you know." Anyway, I don't know where I was in this story, but oh yeah, Woody Guthrie, he tried to raise the common man from his commonness, and so for his trouble, they hauled him in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee. Woody Guthrie. It's an outrage, you know. Could happen today if we're not careful. And this big fat senator looked down at Woody and he said, "Mr. Woodrow Wilson Guthrie, have you ever been, or are you now, a communist?" And Woody said, "Mr. Senator, I ain't necessarily a communist, but I've been in the red all my life." That's what he said. And then he went out and wrote this song, and if I'd have had a vote, it'd have been our national anthem. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you. Alicia, come up here. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Well, I was strolling that ribbon of highway. I saw above me the endless highway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. One more time. Oh yeah, let's hear it for Bradley Kopp. He says we're not country.
As I went walking, I saw a sign there.
What?
And on that sign said,
What did it say?
"No trespassing." And on the other side, that sign said nothing.
That sign was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Let's all sing it. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Thank you. Foxy ladies. Bob Livingston, Brady Kopp, thank you guys. Thanks for coming out tonight. All right, so if you haven't donated, please do. Alicia, you want to tell them what's coming up here?
Wow, I'm just blown away for a second here. Just give me a moment.
Well, you were leaving. I didn't want you to go off here without saying.
Give me a moment here. Come on now.
All right, thank you, Bob and Bradley.
Awesome.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And Lance and everybody else that makes this possible. Next show, we have the Red Dirt Rangers
No.
on
No.
Black Friday.
Next show is. Next show is.
You know, the day after Thanksgiving when everybody gets up at 4 a.m. in the morning and goes shopping and all that shit? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We play music.
We have the Red Dirt Rangers.
That's not the next
so
show. That's not the
family
next
and
show,
friends
though.
bring turkey and
Become an
dressing.
annual event. We're going to call it Red Friday from now
Cranberry
on.
sauce.
Red Friday. Red Friday.
Red Dirt Friday. But before that, on the 7th of November,
Doug Strongham
there you go,
and the Good Neighbors.
are going to be here on a Friday
That's
night on the
right.
7th.
That's right. Yes. And Doug plays with Ramsey Midwood. And that's our connection to Doug.
All right, there you go.
Doug will be here and it will be fabulous.